Hollywood isn't all glitz and glamour. Sometimes it's a brutal battlefield where even the most hyped films crash and burn. Box office bombs can be epic in their failures, often sinking studios into financial chaos. But here's a twist. Some of these flops are actually worth watching. Heaven's Gate. This epic Western directed by Michael Cimino is perhaps the most infamous box office bomb of all time. Marred by an overblown budget, a bloated runtime, and negative press, Heaven's Gate was a commercial disaster. The film's failure was so significant, it led to the sale of United Artists and prompted a shift in how Hollywood managed film productions. It grossed a paltry $3.5 million against a $44 million budget and currently sits at 57% on Rotten Tomatoes.
My grandfather was the Secretary of War to Harrison. His brother was a governor of the state of New York. My brother-in-law is the Secretary of State. And to you, I represent the full authority of the government of the United States and the President.
Fuck him too.
Bravo, sir. I've had about enough of your shit too, Billy.
Mars Needs Moms. A title that sounds like a children's book was unfortunately the epitaph on the tombstone of Image Movers Digital, Robert Zemeckis' motion capture animation studio. The film revolved around a boy who stows away on a spaceship to rescue his abducted mom from Martians. While the movie boasted innovative technology, it seemed audiences weren't ready to embrace the uncanny valley of human-like animated characters. Well, it was 2011 after all, not 2023. With a budget of $150 million, Mars Needs Moms only grossed $39 million worldwide, making it one of the costliest box office bombs ever.
Get off me! Let me go! Let me go! Cool it! I gotta clean you up! Get off of me! Hey! Mellow out, man! I'm not the fuzz! I'm not busting you! You're not? Check it out!
John Carter. Based on a classic novel by Edgar Rice Burroughs, John Carter was a film with a lot riding on its shoulders. With a budget of around $250 million, this was Disney's big bet on creating a franchise akin to Star Wars or Avatar. Unfortunately, the film turned into a financial black hole, returning only $284 million worldwide. Critics didn't savage it, but with a lukewarm 52% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, they weren't exactly singing its praises either. Disney had to write down a whopping $200 million loss, marking the film as one of the biggest box office flops in history.
She's a human. Solo! Who is that? I'm West Virginia!
Battlefield Earth. A sci-fi film starring John Travolta and based on a novel by L. Ron Hubbard, founder of the Church of Scientology. What could go wrong? Oh, just about everything. The film was universally panned, with critics and audiences lambasting the poor screenplay, over-the-top performances, and cringe-inducing special effects. The film won a record 7 Golden Raspberry Awards, Razzies, and was even deemed the worst film of the decade in 2010 by the Razzies. To this day, Battlefield Earth maintains a dismal 3% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The film grossed a measly $29 million against a $73 million budget. Catwoman. Here we have Halle Berry, fresh off her Oscar win, stepping into the feline shoes of Catwoman. Needless to say, the hype was high for this one. Unfortunately, she had to step back out pretty quickly. With its weak storyline, laughable dialogue, and disappointing CGI, Catwoman was a letdown for fans of the iconic DC character. The film has an abysmal 9% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and was awarded multiple Razzies, including Worst Picture and Worst Actress for Berry. The film's budget was estimated at $100 million, but it only clawed back $82 million globally. Barry good-naturedly accepted her Razzie in person, cradling her Oscar in her other hand. At least we got to witness that. Gigli. Who knew that putting real-life couple Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez together on screen would result in a movie often considered one of the worst ever made? With an awkward blend of romantic comedy and crime genres, Gigli became famous for all the wrong reasons. Its premise was promising. A mobster, Affleck, falls for a fellow criminal, Lopez, but the execution was abysmal. Critics skewered it, resulting in a shockingly low 6% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The film managed to recoup a meager $7.3 million of its $75.6 million budget. The disastrous result even had Affleck publicly stating he regretted making the film.
Read to me, Larry.
What?
Oh, come on, Larry. Read to him.
I got nothing here.
You don't have a book.
For well over a century, the adventurous flavor of Tabasco sauce has fired up generations of thrill seekers. Okay?
That's good.
The Adventures of Pluto Nash. In this film, Eddie Murphy played a nightclub owner on the moon, which, as fun as it sounds, did not exactly translate into box office gold. Instead, it floated away into the vacuum of cinematic space, taking a sizable amount of Warner Bros.' money with it. Murphy's undeniable charm couldn't salvage the weak script and lackluster jokes. The movie cost an estimated $100 million, but grossed less than $5 million in the US. The film has a pitiful 4% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. In subsequent interviews, Murphy himself admitted it was a terrible film.
So you got it all figured out, huh?
Waterworld. Once considered the most expensive film ever made, Waterworld has become a textbook example of a high-cost flop. Kevin Costner starred as a fishman in a post-apocalyptic world covered by oceans, but despite the unique premise, the film quickly started sinking. The film's production was a Hollywood saga filled with cost overruns, script issues, and natural disasters. The film earned a middling 46% on Rotten Tomatoes and grossed $264 million worldwide, barely covering its $175 million budget, which doesn't account for marketing expenses.
Man who still searches, a woman who still hopes, and a small child who carries the secret to a new beginning.
After Waterworld, Kevin Costner jumped back into the director's chair with another post-apocalyptic film, The Postman. Unfortunately, it seemed audiences had already seen enough of Costner's take on the end of the world. The film was panned for its lengthy runtime and preachy tone. It barely managed to deliver $18 million in the box office against an $80 million budget. Costner's directorial effort was not rewarded by critics either, as the film holds a dismal 8% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Hand me your gun. Understand that tampering with the mail or obstructing the mail is a federal offense, and furthermore, the Bolin Act requires that you provide all mail carriers with sanctuary and food.
You got 3 seconds. Get your ass out of here.
Speed Racer. This live-action adaptation of a beloved 1960s anime seemed like a sure bet on paper. Helmed by the Wachowskis, fresh off the Matrix trilogy, the film was hyped up to be a high-speed adventure that would wow audiences. However, it was a financial wreck, grossing just $93.9 million against a production budget of $120 million. The candy-colored visuals didn't make up for a convoluted plot and inconsistent tone. While it has since gained some cult status, the film's initial release had many wishing it had taken a pit stop instead of rushing to the finish line.
You walk away from me, you walk away from this deal, no matter how well you drive, you won't win, you won't place. I guarantee you right now, you won't even finish the race.
You think you can drive a car and change the world? It doesn't work like that.
Maybe not. But it's the only thing I know how to do, and I gotta do something.
Based on Michael Crichton's best-selling novel Eaters of the Dead, The 13th Warrior had the potential to be a hit. Antonio Banderas starred as an Arab traveler who joins a group of Vikings to combat an unseen evil. However, a troubled production, including significant reshoots and re-edits, resulted in a muddled final product. Its underwhelming box office return, $61.7 million against a $160 million budget, solidified its status as a flop. It currently holds a 33% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
13. The number of months in their year. She says 13 men must go.
Vem skall bli den första?
The 13th warrior is you.
Stealth. Featuring Josh Lucas, Jessica Biel, and Jamie Foxx as Navy pilots dealing with an AI-controlled fighter jet going rogue, Stealth was intended to be a high-octane summer blockbuster. Unfortunately, it crashed and burned upon arrival. Critics described it as a noisy, soulless, superficially high-tech bore, which led to a dismal 13% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. With a budget of $135 million, it only earned $76.9 million worldwide.
Allow me to introduce the future of digital warfare. Eddie flies all by himself.
You mean itself?
It will replace us all.
What do you think they're gonna trade us all in for? That machine?
We have things those computers can never have, like instincts and feelings, moral judgment.
Ishtar. Starring Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty as two hapless songwriters caught up in a Middle Eastern political conflict, Ishtar was the epitome of production woes. From shooting in the harsh desert environment to dealing with conflicts between cast and crew, the film became a Hollywood cautionary tale. It made a disappointing $14.4 million against a $55 million budget. Despite its initial reception, the film has since been re-evaluated by some critics, but its notorious flop status is hard to shake off.
Your life is in danger.
Behave normally. We have guns pointed at your back. No, don't put your hands up, you idiot.
Oh, little darling. My little darling.
I can't believe these men may control the fate of the Middle East.